This is a video of part 13 of my progress report of our haul out at REBAK Island Shipyard. I own a 2013 38-foot Island Spirit catamaran, and I hauled it out at the REBAK Island Shipyard, which is in the top middle of the photograph. And here's an image of REBAK Island, which is a small island off the KUAH Island group. And here's a Google image of my boat, the blue dot, in the shipyard itself. And here's my boat on the stands. Because of the COVID situation, the Malaysian government granted an amnesty for visa holders, but they decided to change that and get them to leave the country. So we had to apply for a visa, an extension. Some of the people in the photographs have already left, some are still working or staying on the island. One thing we noticed was the lack of traffic, and building projects like this have gone idle. You can see in the background there's hardly any yachts, and in fact there's been a few yachts that have sunk because of the lack of care. Owners are not in the country, so they've been unable to tend to their boats. And this was a fine day, but you can see a charter boat that has actually sunk because of the bad weather and lack of use and lack of maintenance. So here's a close-up shot of a few yachts that are still left, and there's the cruise tour boat that's gone down. 15 to 20 boats have left REBAK Island, and it's looking deserted. We stopped for lunch on the side of the road, and there was no people around. The island is really quite deserted. The MCO has caused all the restaurants and the street cafes to close. You can only get takeaway, so we got the takeaway and sat down here. We're still learning our new bikes, and Linda has been encouraged to ride it more, but she's a little bit frightened of falling off. She still doesn't quite understand how to use the brakes rather than put your feet down to try to stop the bike. I really enjoy the electric bike. It saves me time going from one end of the island to the other and back again. You can see she's not using the accelerator. She's just wheeling the bike using her feet. So sooner or later she'll learn how to accelerate with the electric motor. As I've already explained in the previous video, we had some really nasty weather, but more recently, here's an image of the rain clouds and hail and gusts that occurred in the last week. Filled up the gutters again, filled up the drains again. This is a video of last time, but it wasn't much different this last week. We had to clean up all the mud and slush and shovel it in off the area that we're currently located. Here's an image of me in a sad state of mind, this stress from the visa situation. Took its toll on that particular day, so she cheered me up by making some roti canai, and here is the pastry ready to be flattened out and fried up and cooked. So she made up the canai and added chicken and carrots. I like carrots in mine. So, and that was simmered and with was added to the roti bread, and a thoroughly delightful lunch. I thoroughly enjoy my wife's cooking. That's why I put on more weight since she's been back in Malaysia. It's great stuff. So we went wandering off to KUAH immigration to get a stamp and pay the fee for our 90-day visa application, and it was deserted at the immigration office. We're Australian citizens, so Linda got a new passport, and here is a copy of the Malaysia pass with all our details scrubbed out so we don't get into trouble over showing a Malaysian document. We also have had our first jab of vaccines, and if you don't know, Malaysia is going through a really serious situation. 98 people dead on one day and a total of 2,650 dead overall. And here's, if you pause this, you can get an idea of the different states. Selangor is probably the worst. So we went up north to Tanjung and also to KUAH for 2 different locations, 2 different vaccines for 2 different people. And at Tanjung we went to the clinic there, and here's a photograph how they've set up tents outside the clinic itself to assist with the flow of many people getting the vaccines. So they did it in stages, do the paperwork, ask the questions, line up for the jab. The white tent is where they stuck you with the needle, and then you had to sit and wait for 15 minutes before they gave you a certificate and let you go home. And they had something to make you cheerful as a little COVID-19 place to take a photograph. I've blanked out the details of this, but it basically says it's dose number 1, and we've got a second dose coming up in a couple of weeks. As I've said in the previous video, I decided to seal the filler that repaired the damage between the hull and the lower deck with a clear coat of West Systems 105 and 209 hardener using the meter pumps, and the clear coat turned out really well, but I couldn't see what I was doing, so I added brown filler to the next coat. But I also changed from West Systems epoxy resin to a local product called KUAH 90, and there's not much difference between the two, and using a mohair roller made the job much easier. I added a brown balloon or filler and that made it easier for me to see where I was up to, and here I am putting on the second coat of KUAH 90 and the brown filler. And here's a video of what it looked like after I'd sanded the second coat, and you can see that dull shine, smooth surface to a point where I'm happy where I'm up to with what I'm doing. But I decided on a third coat, and here's an example of what I did. I added the third coat, and it looks good. With a brown filler. You can obviously still see the work done underneath, but that will go away once the copper coat is put on. The transom work that we did looks rather nice. The next day I was woken by the rain, and I decided to sand off the third coat. Here's some images of between heavy showers. and some rain coming down in this photograph, not much, but earlier on it was quite heavy. I sanded off the third coat, and here it is. It looks like it's got a dose of prickly heat powder all over the hull, and I'll wash that off and then rub it down and then put acetone on it when I'm really happy with the way the transoms are working out, but still got a water leak from somewhere in the upper deck. And here is a long shot of the job so far, pretty much ready for a week of finding faults and fixing faults before I copper coat. One of the ladies here took a photograph last evening of the sun going down on another day. Video was produced by myself, and it's the end of another exciting video of part 13 of my progress report of our haul out at REBAK Island Shipyard.